She thought her granddaughter would die before her 5th birthday, so she made a deal with an ancient forest god. But now the girl is 16, and the god has come to take his bride. What happens next shocked the entire village. The rain didn't fall gently that night. It poured like the sky was crying in pain. In a small mud house at the edge of Yumikaik village, a young girl named Adaora sat on the cold floor. She hugged her knees and listened to the thunder. Her grandmother, Mama Nina, was outside in the rain. For weeks now, Mama Nina had been acting strange. She woke up at midnight, talked to herself, and stared into the dark forest like something was calling her. Adaora wanted to ask what was wrong, but every time she tried, Mama Nina would just say, "You won't understand. One day, the forest will answer your questions." That night, something changed. Mama Nina came into the room, drenched from head to toe. Her eyes were red, but not from the rain. From crying. "Adaora," she said softly, "follow me." They walked deep into the forest. Adaora's legs were shaking, not from cold, but fear. Nobody entered the forest after dark. Nobody even spoke the name of the Akala tree, the tree where it said spirits live. When they got to the tree, Adaora saw strange things. A mask, a small stool, a broken pot with feathers inside. Then her grandmother dropped to her knees and cried. "I made a mistake," she said. 16 years ago, I gave you away because I thought you would die." Adaora froze. "What do you mean, Mama? The gods said you were cursed. Everyone said you wouldn't survive. So I begged the ancient deity, Akpuluka, to save you. He agreed, but I had to give something in return." "What did you give?" Adaora whispered. "You," Mama Nina said. "I gave him you, as his bride." Before Adaora could scream, the air changed. The wind stopped. The trees stood still, and the mask on the ground opened its eyes. A dark smoke came out from the mask. It wrapped itself around Adaora like ropes. She tried to run, but her legs didn't move. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. And then she disappeared. The next morning, hunters found Mama Nina beside the Akala tree, sitting quietly. She didn't talk again after that. Some say Adaora now walks the forest at night, dressed in white, with chains on her feet. Some say the deity made her queen of the spirit world. But one boy swears he saw her crying by the river, begging someone to help her escape. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. No crickets. No birds. Not even the wind. Adaora opened her eyes slowly. She was no longer under the Akala tree. She was in a strange place. The sky above her was red. The trees were black and twisted like they were in pain. Everything looked like it was breathing, even the ground beneath her. She tried to stand, but her feet were heavy. She looked down and saw chains. Real chains. Thick and rusty, wrapped around her ankles. She screamed, but the only voice she heard was her own echo. "Why are you crying, Adaora?" a voice asked softly. She turned around. There was no one there. "You don't remember me?" the voice said again. "I saved your life when you were a baby. You were mine before you even knew your name." Suddenly, the air in front of her shifted, and he appeared. Tall, very tall. Skin as dark as the night. His eyes, empty. No white. No pupils. Just black. It was Akpuluka, the ancient deity of the forest. He didn't walk. He floated. "Your grandmother promised you to me, and now you belong here." For days, or maybe weeks, Adaora couldn't tell. She stayed in the spirit world. There was no sun, no morning, no night. Just endless darkness with strange lights in the sky. She saw other girls too. Silent girls with sad faces. Some smiled, but their eyes were empty. Every night, Akpuluka would visit her. He never touched her. He only stared at her and whispered things she didn't understand. But one night, Adaora found a door. A glowing door, hidden behind a curtain of leaves and spider webs. Something inside her told her not to open it. But she did. Behind the door was a mirror, but it didn't show her reflection. It showed her mother, standing in the middle of the forest, crying, screaming, holding a baby wrapped in white cloth. Then the image changed. It showed Mama Nina kneeling before Akpuluka, placing the baby on the ground. Adaora gasped. Then the mirror cracked. Slowly. And from the crack, a voice came out. "This place is not your home, Adaora. Run, before your name is erased." Suddenly, the mirror shattered. And behind it, there was a path. A small path that looked like it led out of the forest. Adaora ran. Her legs were weak. The chains slowed her down. But she didn't stop. She ran past the whispering trees. Past the sad girls. Past the shadow guards who didn't move. Then she heard it. His voice. "You can't leave, Adaora." She turned. Akpuluka was standing behind her. But this time, he looked angry. Very angry. The sky turned black. The ground started shaking. And just before she reached the end of the path, everything went dark. When Adaora opened her eyes again, she was lying on wet ground. But something was different. The red sky was gone. There were no spirits. No chains. No whispering trees. Only silence. She stood up slowly, her heart beating fast. "Where am I?" she whispered. Then she heard a voice. So familiar. "Adaora." She turned and saw a woman. A beautiful woman with the same eyes as her. It was her mother. Adaora couldn't believe it. She wanted to run and hug her, but her legs didn't move. Her mother just smiled sadly. "I'm sorry I couldn't stay," she said. "I begged them to let me live, but the curse was too strong." "What curse?" Adaora asked, tears falling. "Why did Mama Nina give me away?" Her mother looked down. "Because she had no choice. The curse was older than all of us. It started long ago, from something she did in her youth." "What did she do?" Adaora asked. But before her mother could answer, the ground shook again. A loud voice filled the air. "She is not meant to be here." It was Akpuluka. He had found her. The sky broke open. Akpuluka came down like a black storm, his eyes burning with fire. He raised his hand, and a wind so strong it pulled trees from the ground began to blow. Adaora held onto her mother. "You cannot save her," Akpuluka roared. "She belongs to me." But her mother stepped forward. "Then take me instead." The deity paused. "She is my bride," he said. "You are already dead." Then something strange happened. The sky turned white. The ground opened, and an old woman stepped out. It was Mama Nina. But this time, she looked different. Her back was straight. Her voice was strong. "Stop this," she shouted. "I lied. I told you she would be yours, but I never meant it." Mama Nina raised her hands, and suddenly, the forest froze. "I did a terrible thing," she said, her eyes full of tears. "But I will not let this child suffer because of my past." Akpuluka growled. "You broke the vow." "Yes," Mama Nina said. "But she is not just any child. Adaora is the last daughter of the river goddess." Adaora's heart skipped. "What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, the sky cracked again. And a giant voice, not from this world, spoke. "The time has come." Then, everything around her started to fall apart. Her mother vanished. Mama Nina vanished. The forest turned to dust. And Adaora fell deep, deep into darkness. Adaora opened her eyes again. This time, she was not in the forest. She was not in the spirit world. She was somewhere between. It was a quiet riverbank. The sky above her was golden. The water glowed like light itself. She felt no fear, no pain, just calm. She sat up slowly and saw her reflection in the river. But something was different. Her eyes were no longer brown. They were glowing blue. Then she heard a soft voice coming from the river. "Oh, my child." The river started to move. Waves danced. Bubbles rose. And from the water, a figure appeared, a woman made of water and light. She was tall with long white hair. Her skin flowed like the river itself. "I am Omaji, the goddess of the waters," the woman said. "I am your real mother." Adaora's heart beat fast. "But I saw my mother in the place of shadows," she said. "That was the woman who carried you," Omaji replied. "But I am the one who gave you life." I gave you to her when the land people begged me to stop the war between gods and men." Adaora stood, confused. "What war?" Omaji looked away. "Many years ago, your grandmother stole something sacred from the river, and that started everything." Omaji raised her hand, and the river formed images in the air. Adaora saw Mama Nina as a young girl. She was in a canoe, deep in the river, reaching for something glowing. It was a pearl, bright, round, and alive. "That pearl," Omaji said, "was my heart, the heart of the river. When your grandmother took it, she broke a divine law. I was angry. I cursed the land. There was drought, disease, death. But Mama Nina came to me. She cried. She begged. She said she would return the pearl. Instead, she made a deal with Akpuluka." Omaji looked at Adaora. "You were born as a bridge between two worlds, water and forest, spirit and mortal. That is why your powers are waking up. You were never meant to marry anyone. You were born to end the war." But just as Omaji was about to say more, the sky darkened. The golden river started to turn black. A strong wind came, and from the sky, Akpuluka dropped like a stone. His voice thundered, "I warned you, Adaora. You cannot run forever." He raised his hand, and the water around Adaora turned to fire. Omaji screamed, "Run, Adaora. If he touches you now, your soul will never return." Adaora turned and ran. She didn't know where she was running to. She didn't even know if she was awake or dreaming. But her legs kept moving. She ran through fire, through wind, through crying trees and screaming skies. And then she saw it. A gate made of bone and light, standing in the middle of nothing. A whisper said, "Enter, and you will know everything. But once you pass, there's no turning back." Adaora stood before the gate, shaking. And just as she reached for it, Akpuluka grabbed her shoulder. Adaora froze. Akpuluka's hand was cold, not like ice, but like death itself. His grip was strong, but Adaora felt something strange. For the first time, he looked afraid. "Don't go through that gate," he said. "Why?" Adaora whispered. "Because beyond it, you'll remember everything," he growled. "Everything I've tried to make you forget." Adaora turned slowly. "You've been hiding the truth from me?" Akpuluka didn't answer. His eyes, usually black, began to flicker like smoke. Before he could stop her, Adaora pulled away and stepped toward the gate. It opened on its own. A soft light poured out, warm and pure. Then, everything stopped. The wind, the fire, the fear. Adaora's feet moved on their own as she walked through the gate. And then, she remembered. She saw a baby, herself, floating in a glowing river, being held by Omaji, the river goddess. Then she saw Akpuluka standing at the riverbank. He wasn't dark and scary then. He looked younger, brighter, and he was smiling. "Let's raise her together," he had said. "She can be the bridge between land and water." But Omaji shook her head. "You are too proud, too controlling. If she stays with you, she will be trapped forever. Then give her to the mortals," Akpuluka spat. "Let them decide." And just like that, Adaora was placed in a basket and floated down the river. Mama Nina found her at the edge of the forest. The memory changed. Adaora saw herself, growing up, being watched. Every time she fell sick and recovered, it was Akpuluka healing her. Every time she went into the forest and came out unharmed, it was his protection. He didn't want her to die, but not out of love, out of control. He believed if she lived under his protection long enough, she would forget her true origin and marry him willingly. Adaora came out of the gate gasping. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever, her body shining like moonlight on water. Akpuluka stepped back, shocked. "You remember," he whispered. "Yes," Adaora said, "and I'm not yours." She raised her hand, and the sky cracked. A great roar came from the clouds. And from the river, Omaji rose again, this time with a crown of waves on her head. "My daughter is awake," Omaji said. "And now the balance must be restored." But suddenly, a dark wind blew across the sky. Not from Akpuluka, not from Omaji, but from something older. Something angrier. The earth shook. The gate behind Adaora crumbled. And a voice deeper than anything they had ever heard said, "If the child chooses neither, then she has chosen me." The sky turned dark again. But this darkness was not from night. It felt heavier, stronger, hungrier. Adaora held her breath. Even Akpuluka stepped back. Even Omaji went silent. Then the voice came again. "You all forgot me, but I never forgot her." A great shadow rose from the ground. It wasn't shaped like a man. It wasn't shaped like a god. It was just a presence. A deep, dark fog that moved like it was alive. "Who are you?" Adaora asked, her voice shaking. The shadow laughed. "I am the one your grandmother was truly running from. I am the first god of the land, long before rivers flowed and forests grew." Suddenly, Adaora saw another memory. This one was older. Before Mama Nina. Before the forest. There was a village burning. Women were crying. Children were hiding. And standing in the middle of it was the shadow, watching it all. Then she saw a young girl walk up to the shadow. It was Mama Nina, but much younger. "Spare my people," young Nina said. "I will give you anything." The shadow replied, "Then give me your first daughter's first daughter." Mama Nina agreed. She thought she would never have a granddaughter. But years later, Adaora was born. Omaji gave Adaora life. Akpuluka healed her. But the ancient shadow was promised her soul. And now, all three wanted her. Adaora stood frozen. "I don't want to belong to anyone," she shouted. "I just want to be free." The ground cracked beneath her feet. The river started to rise. The trees began to bleed. "Then choose Adaora," the shadow screamed. "Forest, water, or me." Akpuluka raised his hand. Omaji stretched her arms. The shadow opened its darkness. "Choose now, or lose everything," they all said at once. But Adaora didn't move. Her hands started to glow. Her voice changed. It echoed. Frank. It shook the sky. "I was born from water, protected by forest, and touched by ancient shadow. But I am not yours. I am something new. I am the beginning of the end." Suddenly, light burst out of her chest. So bright, even the gods turned away. The wind howled. The sky split open. The earth pulled itself apart. And then, everything vanished. Back in Umyakaik village, people woke up to a strange sight. The Aji Abla tree was gone. The river behind Mama Nina's house was glowing. And on the ground, right in the center of the village square, lay a girl, Adaora. But she wasn't breathing. Her eyes were closed. And in her hand, she held a pearl. The village was quiet. The cock didn't crow. The children didn't laugh. Everyone was gathered around the square, staring at Adaora. She lay on the ground, still, cold, eyes closed. In her hand, a glowing pearl. Mama Nina knelt beside her, shaking her gently. "Wake up, please," she cried. But Adaora didn't move. The village elders came. They touched her head. They called her name. They sprinkled water from the river. Still nothing. Then from the riverbank, Omaji appeared. She looked tired, weaker, her light dim. "The war is over," she said softly. "But the child is gone." Mama Nina stood. "Bring her back," she begged. "I can't," Omaji whispered. "The pearl she holds is her life. To break the bond of three gods, she gave her soul." Mama Nina fell to the ground, screaming. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I was just trying to protect her." Omaji knelt beside her. "You didn't protect her. You gave her pain. You gave her to gods, to curses, to fear. And in the end, she saved all of us. But lost herself." That night, the villagers placed Adaora's body in a small wooden boat. They covered her with white cloth. The glowing pearl was placed on her chest. They pushed the boat into the river. The water opened gently. And as the boat floated away, the pearl rose from her chest and turned into light. It flew up into the sky and disappeared. Some say they still hear Adaora's voice near the river on quiet nights. "I just wanted to be a girl, not a bride, not a goddess. Just me." But no one ever sees her. The Aji Abala tree never grew back. Mama Nina never spoke again. And the village never forgot.